Look, we turning conversation into application. This ain't for you if you can't handle deep communication. I see too many trying to teach when they need all the teaching. If you can't practice what you preach, then what's the point of speaking? Look, we thank the Lord for another season. Don't think they ready for you, Lee. I think them boys are sleeping. But we gon' hustle every hour like it's our last. Open up your mind, it's the converSAYtion podcast. Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the converSAYtion podcast. I am your host, Leon Reed Jones, and this is the place where we turn conversation into application. I got a very special guest in the building today, man. Somebody that I hold in high regard, somebody that I've had the opportunity to do youth work with, somebody that I've gained a great deal of respect for. I got my guy, Coach Jew, in the building, man. What's going on?
Nothing much. Scalp work, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So something I like to always start off the podcast with when I have my guest on is, if you had to title this chapter of your life, what would you say? What would be the title of it? This current season you in right now, what would be the title of the chapter of your life right now?
Letting go. Letting go.
Yeah, man. Why you say letting go?
Say letting go, man. It's just honestly, this year started off with certain relationships or whatever, coming to an end, and certain people showing their true colors.
Yeah.
It was tough at first, but now I'm starting to see, it's a good thing at the end of the day. So
yeah, man. I resonate with that, man, because even for me, coming into 2026, there's been, a lot of things, places, and people that I've had to let go. And like you said, man, it's not always easy. It can be tough, especially you want better for these people, or you saw yourself going to the top with these people, or you had so many plans in your mind with these people and in these places. But in reality, like once you see what you said, man, true colors, a sign, or, how certain things unfold, you either got one or two choices. You could, listen to that sign or do what you want to do. And, I've been finding out that doing my own thing or trying to rewrite something or prevent it is, not the best way, because at the end of the day, you got to follow the plan, because if you don't, you'll be behind, and you'll have a lot of regrets, and I don't want to live with regrets, man. So that letting go piece is important, bro, because, like, I think, like, God has shown me, like, over the course of these last few months, like, bro, I'm showing you what to do. Now, you gotta decide if you want it this way, my way, or you want it your way, which ain't the best way. And I think sometimes when we look at it our way, it's not necessarily that you got bad intentions or bad motives. It's just like, man, this is probably not the best way. And I ain't gonna lie, man, transparency, like, I had to get out of my own way, with a lot of stuff that I was holding on to, people, trying to help folks and trying to, just want stuff more than others. So, man, when you say letting go, it's like,
for sure.
I'm, even as we speak right now, still trying to, let go of stuff, or it's a process, bro, because when you got a certain type of mindset or heart for people, it's not easy to just be like, oh, I don't care. It was like my coworker was telling us today, he like, man, even when I want to do like something that I know is against my character, I just can't, because it's not me. And that's how I feel like I approach a lot of situations. Like, man, not necessarily I don't care, but like, man, I want to go about it. I could go about it this way and do what everybody else doing. But it's like the moment you try to do it, it don't even feel right, because it's not you. So it's better just to, let go organically and do things the right way, man. So I can appreciate that and resonate with that for real,
For
man.
sure,
Because it can be tough. So we both are mentors at Caught Up. And, we've been helping out for a while now. So for you, being that big brother for a lot of these kids, and even for your younger brother, what type of lessons have you learned from, like, being a mentor and being asked to come back to a place that essentially help you become the man that you are now?
Right. My main thing that I learned over the years is patience, right? And you know, you can't fault people for what they don't know too. So that's been the biggest thing too. And then just knowing that, you know, if I got a crowd, if I can just help one person and help his family, which, you know, his kids or his grandkids might not have to see the route that he's seen, you know, and I can be at the origin of that, you know, process. That's great right there. But you know, just knowing one conversation can, you know, potentially save somebody's life or turn them down the right path, or, you know, as we say, you know, suicide and things like that. That conversation from a big brother right there that can turn their whole life around. Like, somebody do care about me, or some things like that.
Yeah.
You know, like at the center, we know like certain kids. I know you do, I do. They got that certain bond to where just like, hey man, you know, the certain conversation they didn't had. With you. You know what I mean? And you can help them with that route. So it's just like, man, you know, it's a motivation inside knowing that I can, you know, help somebody in a positive way in the long run. So that's what I look at the end of the day. But yeah, patience is the biggest thing I learned, man. 'Cause me being young, you know, me being young and everything, man, I had to have patience because it was certain things that where I was trying to hold them accountable for. That I had to look back like, dang, Mr. Knight, you know, he was easy with me because I wasn't taught that from, you know, my home being and things like that. So I just give everybody the, you know, the benefit of the doubt because, you know, you might not know what they going through at home or, you know, what environment they been brought up into. So that's the biggest thing right there.
Bro, you literally hitting on so much that I've been saying to people the last few months. Like, I feel like I thought I knew patience, but it's like until you like deal with somebody or some things that like really test your patience, then that's when you can say like, okay, like you either don't got as much patience as you thought you did, or you gain more. Like, and not even just dealing with the kids at the program, just like people in general, because like we all different. Like we may come from the same side of town, we may stay in the same hood, like whatever the case may be, but we all got different things that we've experienced. And the reality that I had to come to, like with people in general, like what you said, like a lot of people, they just genuinely don't know. And it's hard to like accept that because of what you may come from or what you understand as a grown man or a grown woman, or just from a cultural standpoint. So it's like you'll see somebody, you know, interrupt somebody while they talking, and you like, bro, why would you do that? Because you don't like, that's not something that you see in your bubble or in your environment because you was raised a certain way. And I was like when I got to college, like I was like big on this. And even in high school, I'm like, man, I don't care what you done been through, who raised you, like it's certain stuff that you just gotta know. And I was like big on that. And I saw like as a grown man, like how to a certain extent that was so insensitive because it's like, man, like it's kids that really don't know, like you shouldn't say this, or like you don't like talk when somebody's talking.
Common sense not that common.
So it's like, you know, what you thinking is the norm, it's like not normal to them.
For sure.
It's like I was telling somebody the other day, like as a child I was green because I'm coming to school, like my parents dropping me off, you know, my parents married, and then you go to school, you know, people, grandparents picking them up. Not to say there's nothing wrong with that. Or like just because you come from a 2-parent household, your parents married, that you ain't gonna have problems, or you know you don't go through real life, because we all go through stuff. But it was like I would ask my parents like, oh, this dude he don't got his dad in his life. Like what's that was really strange to me because of like I never, even as a grown man, I can't look around and be like my dad not there for me. Like my dad, to the point to where people like, bro, your son a grown man, like you need to chill, like you know what I'm saying. And I didn't see that from all of my friends, but when you live a little bit, you see that, you know, everybody's circumstances is different. Everybody's parents don't care like how yours may care, or how your mom or whomever may be taking care of you care. So it's like, man, when I learned that, it's kind of like allowed me to give people grace. Like, bro, you don't know what somebody dealing with, and it's no excuse for like behavior or like mindsets. But if anything, like my mama taught me, like, don't talk about somebody when you see them doing wrong. Like, try to help them, and if they don't listen, then you planted the seed. You did what you're supposed to do. But even after you do that and they don't do or listen to what you're saying, like, at least you could say you tried to help somebody. Like, instead of complaining about it, contribute to it. Like, help them see the other side. And it goes back to what you said earlier. Like, it's motivation for you to know that you can be the origin point of somebody seeing a different side of life. Like, it's some kids that ain't even been, you know, people may laugh or think it's like, oh, you over exaggerating. Like, they haven't been to another side of town in the city of Detroit because, like, from whatever they've experienced or gone through. So it's like when they go out of town, they don't know how to act because you have never experienced this. So I think like working with kids, whether it be at the school, my church, the mentoring program, it just shows you like, man, people come from all walks of life. And when people can trust you and people see that you're consistent, like they willing to buy into whatever you saying.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's like, man, I feel like as a mentor and just as a human being, like, you know, at some point it's your job to pay it forward in some way. You don't got to be a mentor. You don't got to go out and march, but like, how did you use your time here that God gave you? Like, you having the gifts and talents that you got and was blessed with, what did you do with those things? So it's like me, over the last few years, it's like, I can't be telling kids like, hey, go to school or like, you know, value this, but then my value system off. Like, of course, we flawed individuals, we gonna mess up. But it's like when people can see like, oh man, Leon owned up to his wrongs, or when he fell short, he acknowledged that. He didn't, you know, criticize me and then didn't, you know, hold himself accountable. And like, kids may not say it outright to you, but like people like watch you. Like,
yeah, for sure.
It was one time I had a kid with me and I was listening to I think I was listening to J. Cole, and then he was like cursing or whatever. Now, normally when the kid is with me, I'm like listening to Jonathan McRae, like stuff like that. And he like, bro, you listen to music that got cursing in it? And I'm like, I mean, you know, sometimes I listen to J. Cole, but it's like, even that is like, you know, just being mindful of what you do around like kids. And even when you're not around them or people in general, like, what is your character when nobody's watching? So it's like, I can't tell kids to move a certain way if I'm not doing that. Or if it's like, oh, I'm honorable in this way, but then over here, I don't honor. Like, nah, it's like a motivation, like you said, but also a accountability for me. Cause it's like, if I ain't on my job, I can't possibly tell you to do your part. So man, I just think it's so important for us to practice what we preach, but also, you know, be honest with the kids about, you know, our struggles, man. So
like, you know, my little brother Devin or whatever, you know, that's like my little mini me or whatever. He always with me. And a couple years ago, you know, I grew up to where it was just like whatever adults say, go with it. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
And then when I became an adult, I still realized I was human. So me and my brother, we got a bond to where it's just like, you know, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I better be wrong if you correct me.
For sure. I mean?
And there's been certain times where he's like, no, and that's wrong. And I'm like, oh, you is right, you know, things like that, to where, you know, that's the biggest thing right there. I like when you say we got to actually show it, because we all think once we become an adult, you know, we tell you how to be accountable, right? But we all know action speaks louder than words, 100%. Right there. So just, you know, going back, I teach with my brother, and it was one of your lessons. It killed me because I taught him that day or whatever. We got an older couple that stays next door, and every time he shoveled the snow, I'm like, shovel their snow. And he used to get mad, well, I got to shovel their snow all the time, this and that or whatever. And I say, hey, man, you can't be always a taker. You got to give back some way, somehow, you know, or whatever. And then one day, he was asking me for something, or I forget what it was, but I'm sitting in the car. He shoveled our snow. I'm waiting for him to shovel their snow so we can leave. The lady run out, paid him back for every time he shoveled the snow. He said, oh, man, she paid me. I said, yeah, you can't always take. You know what I mean? You got to give back sometimes. That's the biggest thing right there. You know, and then, you know, just showing it. So, he see me give back all the time with time and everything like that. I just stopped by my old high school the other day. The coach hit me up. He said, it's a kid. He good at baseball. Underclassmen need some cleats. You know, I didn't look at it as much. The cleats was like $40 or something like that. But it made his day and it made the kid day or whatever. You know, I was thinking like $40 I'm spending that on snacks. You know, at work. You know what I mean? But that might make the kid, you know, once he graduate, like, man, I got to get back. It might be bigger. It might be smarter than what I did for him, but you never know. That opportunity right there could just change that kid's whole life, whole mindset right there. So that's the little things we need to change, you know. And we can change the big things eventually.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think just based on what you said, that showing piece, because I was telling somebody the other day, I said, we was having this, I ain't gonna say debate because I don't be debating with people. I say what I gotta say. But like, I was like, you can't tell a child in this day and age, like back then that worked for us because it was like, we'll listen.
Yeah.
Like these kids nowadays, they not, and we not too much older than them, but it's like, you know, we wanted to go outside and make up games. We wanted to do certain things. Like now it's technology, because we were on the cusp of like when technology was like taking off, but we also had like, we were still going to the park, we were still going to bar duck, we were still, you know, meeting up with our friends. Like I remember every summer, me and my older brother and our neighbors and people we went to school with that stayed close by us, we would ride our bikes to their house and we would all like go in the neighborhood, put $5 towards like this place called Burger Point and Grosse Point, and we'd all get sliders. We had like 10, 20 sliders. And like we'd go hoop. We'd come back to my house. My mama would cook some more food for us. We'd be playing the game. Like, and I'm not saying that kids don't hang out with their friends, but they into way more stuff that kids are not necessarily supposed to be into, because it's kind of like I always connect stuff to basketball. It's like the league. Like the youngest, a vet now is like 30. Like back then, it was like, yo, vet was like 45. He was like,
Gary Payne,
you know, people like that could tell you like, hey man, I ran through this money, or I did this like the, and then now it's like, bro, I'm getting NIL money, so you can never, I'm making more than you. I'm making more than your whole household, so you can't tell me nothing. Back then, it was like, oh man, if an elder told you something, they couldn't even be related to you. You like, man, because I don't want to not listen to him and then face the repercussions of my parents. Because it's like, man, I done got cooked twice by a person that ain't even related to me. And now it's like, it's no like real, as my dad said, he like, it's a shortage on thoroughbreds. Like people that's really, that don't care about like, not necessarily how you feel, but like, no, this is what it is. And we gonna do this, bro. Like we're not gonna, you know, do like, we not just, this is not a negotiation, like this is what it is. But another side to that is like, our parents showed us like, hey, this is how you cut the grass, this is how you shovel the snow, this is how you ask questions. Like now you don't see that often. You don't see a lot of parents doing that, because parents is like, I was just telling somebody the other day, the school I work at, I seen a girl, which I didn't even know that was his mom. One of my students' mom, I used to work with her at GDYT. I'm like, that's crazy.
Dang.
So it's like, and then another one, I went to elementary/middle school with her. So it's like, we're the we the parents now. And then it's like, it's people having kids younger than us. So it's like, you still maturing while bringing another person into the world that didn't ask to be here. Now, like, and I think a lot of times what we do is we give instructions. We still on this, do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah.
And the reality is the kids nowadays is going to see right or wrong, see what you're doing, and they're going to follow that. Whatever their first example is, that's what their makeup is going to be until they see something different. So that's why it's so important for us, not just as mentors, but black men and black people in general, to like not be perfect. You don't got to go and be a lawyer, but use your gifts and talents to pour into your community or help somebody see that there is a better way. That's been my motto. Like, it's always a better way. It's always more than one way. So it's like, the kids now, they gonna ask why. That's their biggest question. Why? Like, and it throw you off, because you like, you never asked your mama, why do I have to do the dishes? Because it was like, if you did that, you would be getting up off the floor.
Exactly.
But it's a different day and age, because people, a lot of kids don't have chores. They parents do that stuff. So then it's like, well, I wasn't doing this last week. Exactly. So why am I? So you got to break it down to them. Not that, oh, you on their level. Like, no, kids genuinely need to know, like, this is why you don't interrupt somebody while they talking. This is why you don't say this. This is why you conduct yourself a certain way in public, because people are watching you. Yeah. So you got to show people, like, oh, be accountable. What does that look like? Like when people say, have a good day or be good, what is being like? Oh, I know what being good is like, but what does that look like for your child? What does that look like for your mentee? Exactly. So I think, like, when you come into contact with the kids from this, you know, new day and age with technology and all of that, I think it's important for us to,
that's the biggest thing,
break down. There. Yeah.
Technology. I was telling somebody, we were around the same age. Have you ever seen one of your teachers in public before, when you was like in middle school or something like that? Yeah. It was like you seen a superstar, like, oh, they really shop at the market I shop at. Right. And it's so crazy because we held them to a different standard. Exactly. Know? I wasn't able to see my teacher on Facebook or Instagram, TikTok, and things like that. To where it's now, my little brother, you know, I got all his social medias. Yeah. Ain't this Miss such and such or whatever. Right. So now when I come to school, it's like, oh, you know what I mean? You just like the IG girl or whatever. You do the same thing. Unfortunately. Unfortunately, that's the only thing I do. You know, I'm not, hate is a strong word, but I just like that the social media is just, it's average. You know, it's always been around Moco Space, Facebook, or whatever, but it wasn't like broadcast like how it is now or whatever. To where it's like, you know what somebody doing all the time. Yeah. And I had a conversation with a couple of mentees before, and I go back to the AI, you know, videos. I ain't perfect, you know what I mean? Yeah. I mess up just like you, you know? Yeah. I might not mess up as in the same category you mess up in, but I mess up some way, somehow. Right. To where it's just like, you know, I seen one of my mentees or whatever, and I think I was at like a black tie fair or whatever, you know, it was adults there. It's like, oh, I seen you at a party or whatever. I didn't know you party. I said, hey, I'm just like everybody else, you know. I'm not saying that I'm gonna go to this type of party that you might want to go to. Right. But I'm trying to steer you from being around that crowd. But hey, there's nothing wrong with doing certain things. I'm not telling you, you know, to be a monk or nothing like that. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying it's different ways to do certain things or whatever. And then another thing too, you got to know who on your social media. Yeah. You know what I mean? Who on your social media. My mentees, if I see you, before you see me, I'm blocking you. You know what I mean? You don't need to know what I'm doing when I'm not at the center and things like that. Not saying it's bad or nothing, but that's just the barriers I have, you know, with my level uncles. Of boundaries. Yeah, boundaries. Yeah. You don't need to know that, you know what I mean? To where it was just like, you know, when mom and them went out or uncle and them went out or whatever when I was a kid, I didn't know where they went. I just knew they came back, you know. They dressed up and they went out, you know. I wasn't asking. I wasn't able to go on Instagram, oh, my mama, she had a birthday party or nothing like that or whatever. So, it's just in her face so much, man. Yeah. It's in their face.
And I think, like, you said something that I was actually talking to somebody about, like, not too long ago. I'm like, the problem is, like, I think we put so much on the kids, but these kids didn't ask to be here. Now, whether or not having your kid was planned or it wasn't, whatever people want to say, they still didn't ask to be here. That does not excuse their bad behavior or when they get smart or this, that, and the fourth. But I think another thing that I've really learned is grace to its fullest, like, potential, because God give me grace every day. That don't mean I let people walk all over me or disrespect me and stuff like that. But it's like I could never be mad at you know, I'm like, you can't be, like, if you had a kid before you was married, you can't be mad at your son for having sex. Now, granted, you don't want him to have sex, but it goes back to what you said. Teach them, like, okay, this is what happened to me when I did this. Exactly. This is why I had sex. I thought this is what it was about. This is what I had to do to be accepted. Now, granted, you may teach that and they still do their own thing, but you'll be able to say, hey, I taught my kid, I did this with my mentee. Like, you know, so I think another thing is, like, grace with the kids too, man. Like, a lot of parents forget who they were before they kids, or who they low key still are with their kids. Yeah. And it's like, we all are a work in progress. The 15-year-old kid all the way to the 65-year-old grown man or woman. And the common thing is, like you said, we may not struggle with the same thing, but we both struggle with something.
Yeah.
So now I can show you as a parent, as a guide, as a guardian to say, hey, I went down this path and this is what it got me. I don't want that for you. So let's work on just showing them. And you know, sometimes it's tough because you doing that and then kids still on games or they still doing whatever they want. But I've learned that when you spend time with somebody, you consistent and you stay on them, at some point they're gonna appreciate it. And the ones that get it, get it. And the ones that don't, you see it.
Exactly. And then that's going back and you know what I do for a career, whatever. I'm to trades and everything, and I kind of peeped that it's more people that that wasn't in the upbringing I was in or went through what I went through or whatever.
Yeah.
They had way more grace, with situations than people that went through. And it's kind of mind blowing because I'm just like, if you know the struggles, you know what it can lead up to. Why not have a grace with them or whatever? Because, when I first got into I'm a plumber or whatever.
Yeah.
I got into it and it was a dude I met named Butch or whatever.
Yeah.
First day. I didn't know nothing about nothing on the job. I walked up to him. I said, I don't know nothing. I know how to lift heavy stuff. And I know how to work a shovel. Right. He said, you'll be all right then. And he been working with me ever since then. And then I worked with another dude, going back to what you were saying. He said, he'd teach me something the way he know how to do it. And his quote was, you can use it or you can abuse it. But you can't say I didn't show you.
Right.
So that's the biggest thing, Can't be scared of, having that conversation, because a lot of people might think down, he might do what I did. So I'd rather not even stare him in the right way or bring the conversation up.
Exactly.
Might be scared to where, what the result might be off the conversation, or, even having trauma from that conversation. So we got to, just put one foot in the front, like, okay, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. I can show you what happened to me. Yeah. You can use it or you can abuse it.
Yep.
Can't say I didn't tell you.
Yeah, no, that's real, man. I agree with that 100%, man. That's a gem. You can use it or you can abuse it. Yeah. And I think it's tough sometimes because you just want the best for people in your life, and then when you see them going down the wrong path, it can become stressful. You like, man, are they ever gonna get it right? And I believe, I believe in God, so it's like, my faith. It's like, man, if I can't do it, I know God gonna have His way in this person's life if they allow Him, to move in their life, and if they don't, it'll be sad. But sometimes you have to. What you said, man, you gotta let go. Yeah, you got to. The times where you don't let go, or the times where you try to prevent and stop, and you getting in the way of what their destiny is. So, sometimes tough stuff gotta happen for them to be like, oh, I don't want to go through this again. Where others, you may see something on TV and be like, I ain't trying to deal with that. I ain't trying to go through that. But it's all different for everybody, and I think the posture that I've taken is regardless of who a kid or a person is, still love them, still, treat them right, because we all fall short. And even the worst of the worst thing you could think about, still love on that person, still pray for that person, do right by them, because it goes back to upbringing. You thinking man, you gotta know that. But it's times where I'm telling kids no, you don't do this. And that don't mean I'm less than or you less than or I'm on your level, because I take the time and sit with you and tell you no, this is why you don't do this. Now, if you ask me you can tell when it's in a disrespectful tone, then you correct that, because sometimes it ain't gonna always be why. It's no, just do what I asked you to do in the moment. Yep. And then you break it down later on, but telling people to do something, certain things you're gonna have to explain, why is this way, or how do I do this? And as a grown man, you said yourself hey man, I know how to do this. Yeah, that's I know how to lift stuff, but all this other stuff I need to learn how to do. Yeah. And those are the people that get ahead, not the people that sit in the back knowing they got a question and you ain't gonna ask it because you care about. I did something the other day with the mentees, and it was about reacting and responding.
Right.
So a reaction is like if somebody smacked me, my natural reaction would be to smack them back. That's a reaction. You're not gonna think about that. You're just gonna do it. A response is calculated, is thought through. So I told him to either go to the right, which is the response side, or the left, which is the react side. I said, somebody talks about you in front of your friends, what would you do? It was 2 people on the react side and like half the room on the response side. So one kid was like, well, it depends on what it said, and then that'll determine. And then on the react side, it's like, I don't want to look like, you know, a clown in front of my mans. Yeah. And so I said, why do that mean so much to you about how you perceive doing the right thing? Exactly. It's like, oh man, I don't tolerate no disrespect from no grown man. So it's like, you can only imagine who those kids were that, you know, said that. But like, it's like I brought it to them, even with their mind, because like when you hear how people think, I feel like there's more so like with adults than kids. Like with kids, sort of, but like adults. But then when you see their parents, you be like, oh, I get it. Yeah. Like, my coworkers laugh at me all the time, but we got this thing where you go into the parking structure, you got to go a certain way. It's called a snake. And I'm like, man, I could tell what type of how kids do or don't follow instructions just based off how their parents come in the parking lot. You tell them, hey, this is the way you're supposed to go. Oh, I'm going to be late for work. You knew you had a job since the day you applied for it. Yeah. If you've been at Chrysler for 10 years, your schedule ain't changed overnight. You know when you got to be at work, so you coming to pick your child up late. But again, I get it. Because then when your child do something, they make excuses just like you. Yeah, exactly. So it makes sense because you going to blame social media or you going to blame, well, this school. Like, no, I hate that. You they first model. Yeah. So they're going to, no kid is going to be like, well, oh, mom stole from the store. You shouldn't steal. Like, no, because they don't know that. Some kids, a lot of kids know right from wrong, but they're going to go off what their parents say. I've seen it at work. Well, my mama said if somebody hit me, then I hit them back. But if we telling you can't hit, it's a battle of tug of war because you got us over here teaching you one thing, but you like, I can't go against my mama. I can't go against my flesh and blood. And I heard that I had because I came from that. You know what I mean? I came from that environment. It's just, I'm 25 now. I'm still learning certain things, but people teach their kids that, but they never go into detail with that. You know what I mean? And just going back to what you was saying, you know, I had an incident at work. Somebody lied on me, right? And a dude vouched for me that he lied too or whatever. I'm not gonna say no names or whatever, but if you watch it,
the dude
we know that you told.
The dude that lied on me, he came back to me later that day and said, "Oh, I can trust you now because somebody that I trust told me that I can trust you, or whatever." And I was mad. And it's an older dude I work with, whatever, black guy. He from Detroit, whatever. And he's like, "What's wrong with you?" And he lied on me. He's like, "Oh, he won." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "You know, he won. He won your emotions." I'm like, "No, or whatever." He's just like, he just changed your whole attitude. Right. My guy, I can say his name. My guy Foy, he rap. He a good artist, whatever. You give me like J. Cole vibes or whatever. But he was telling me that he was just like, the dude that lied on me is at a lower position than I'm gonna be in the future or whatever. Right. He's just like, I would look at him and say, I'm glad I need trust from somebody that do what he do for me. Right. Whatever. And he was like, and that would have killed this rest of his day. Yeah. Like, instead of that, you mad or whatever. But yeah, going back to that quote, man, it's just like, your mama say if somebody hit you, hit them back, but she don't say if you in school or if you in court or if you in a certain scenario or whatever, certain environment. Sometimes you gotta take that to the chin to where it's just like, I can't ruin my reputation off this right here. You know what I mean? Go ahead, hit me. You going? You know where you going?
Yeah, and it's like over time, I think life shows us, like man, like I was at this comedy show and this dude, he was like, I think he was like 39. He was like, man, I done got to the point in my life, I'm too old to be fighting. He's like, when you get to a certain age, you can't be like, because, and I was laughing so hard because it's like, it's people out here that's 50 that will like be in the middle of the street, like ready to slide down on something.
Not
and
to cut
like,
you off, my bad. I gotta tell you this story, man. You know, Dem, I'm taking to his game. It's the kids outside fighting. You know, they got the ski masks on. Guess who's hyping the fight up? The grandma. The grandma, she's
Grandma's
like,
supposed to
get
be
him.
somewhere making
I'm
pound
like,
cake.
what? That's what I'm saying. It killed me because I thought about my grandma. I said my grandma would never, man.
Do that.
She would never. And
But
that
the
was
grandma's like 35 now. So
man,
it's
that's what
like
kill. Yeah.
the grandma's like 40.
Right.
So it's like you think about all the factors of this generation.
Mm-hmm.
And mind you, we're not even far removed from them, bruh. And it's like you think about all of these factors, it plays a part, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so that's why it's so important for kids to see consistency, not just through people, but like I said, like us as black men, to show them something different.
Mm-hmm.
Like me, I was telling the kid today, like, it done been times where I know a parent lying on the phone about why their kid not at school today.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not about to get all out of sorts because of that, because that's something they gotta live with.
Exactly.
If you robbing your child of an education, then that let me know where your priorities lie.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not gonna lose my job, or like I said, things don't always go my way at work. I said there have been times where I done dealt with so many behaviors, I didn't even get to eat lunch until later on. And then by the time I ate lunch, it was actually dinner time. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, but that's what I signed up for.
Yeah.
I said I want to help people. So it's like, I'm not going to lose my job and security or, benefits because of some clown or because the day didn't go my way. I'm going to push through and do what I need to do, because conflict is inevitable, but it's how you deal with it. It's your response to it. A lot of people are out here reacting to stuff. So it's like, if you see your mom say, well, I don't care about nothing, or I don't care what y'all talking about, then you're going to behave like that. The average kid is very few kids that's going to see their guardian or their parent do something and be like, oh, I know not to do that. Because you don't know. You can't say that at 7. You can't say that. You can't even say it at 13 because you're still learning. If me and you are grown men and we still learning, what does that say about the 6-year-old or the 8-year-old or the 12-year-old, the 15-year-old? So, man, I just think people got to be, authentic and real. Like, you don't have to, and this is the biggest thing I hate. Like, stop treating your kids like they your friends, man. Like, they too much in the know about grown folks' business. Like, it used to be a time where my aunts come over, I'm going downstairs. It's like, it wasn't even like, oh, I can go downstairs. I'm going because that's like, they taught us like, hey, when my sisters get here, you and your brother go downstairs, because it's grown folks.
You got kids walking around. They know what type of liquor, what type of weed before they get to middle school. For real, that's the biggest thing too. And then it's like the parents is delusional on why the kids know stuff like that. You know what I mean? And with me coaching, it's like I can always easily tell if the parent plays sports or the parents didn't play sports. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I got certain kids, some kids done been good, and some kids haven't been good. And you look at the parent in the crowd, they never played sports.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then you see the one kid, the best kid in the gym or whatever, you can't even tell where his parent at. And then it's like, it's one kid on my brother team, and probably, I'm talking about like point guard wise, tough, nice, and he's only 11.
Yeah.
He's the coach's son.
Right.
It's people that then came to like other parents like, oh, that's your son right there? Like, no, his dad the coach. Then how? He passed the ball, he doesn't ball hog. But then me hanging with his dad and building a relationship, the most unselfish person I know, always giving. And then I'm like, okay, I see why his son is like that. You know what I mean? Because that's the way he's being brought up. So you want to look at a kid, look at their parent, and that'd be the answer right there.
And I think, like, also I've learned to give, like, dealing with kids on a day-to-day basis and seeing how their parents are, like, when they see the time that you take, like, it was this lady, she was like, what made you, like, help my son? It's like, well, I mean, I ain't want no cookie for it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just, that's my default mindset. Like, when I see a need, I come from that. My family is like that. And that's the type of person I've always wanted to be. And I was like, I saw your son, he was struggling.
Right.
And I just wanted to help him. And with his academics and his character. And she was like, yeah, my son, he's opened up more, and like, I can just see the progress being made. And his teacher was like, yeah, he's been doing great. Like, when people see that you invest time into their kids, it's not always necessarily financial. But like, when you spend your time, when you give of your talents, that makes a difference. You know, I could easily get somebody some money and be like, stay out of school, but what did I really show them?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, you know, half these kids don't want to be in school no way. You know, so if you make it interesting, if you open their mind up like, hey man, if you get good grades, you can have a full ride, athletic and academic scholarship. Or like, man, if you do good in school, you can end up having your own business. But when you help them to see the other side versus like the norm is like, oh, I gotta be a hooper, a football player, a rapper. Like when in reality, I mean, you could do that. Ain't nobody knocking that. But it's so much more to you than that. Like a kid asked me the other day, he was like, I was like, man, I felt bad because it's like I couldn't say nothing else, but that's all I seen like from him so far. He's like, what you think my talent is? I'm like, well, you could play football. I seen you really good at that. He was like, what else? I was like, man, I gotta keep watching you because I don't know if, football is your thing. Like, I don't know other than that. That's what you take a lot of interest in.
No, for real.
But it's like, if you show them that it's possible, I always think about this quote that a friend of mine, her name is Taylor, she said, I had her on the podcast, and she was talking about how she was pregnant young with her son. And she was like, although it was difficult, it wasn't impossible. Mm-hmm. So it's like at the end of the day, the stuff that we go through, conflict is inevitable, but it's not impossible that you can make it out the hood or you can accomplish everything that you wrote down on a piece of paper. If you put the work in, you get around the right people and you stay disciplined. But us as mentors, as friends, as family members, as parents, we got to be that example. Yeah, you may have done some stuff in your past that people was like, dang, you was on that. But that should help you be reminded like, dang, this is what I was on. And somebody took me by the hand and helped me. Or at some point, life helped me see like, oh, I got to be focused on this. And then you help your kids, because you could say, well, man, you ain't going to be nothing. Or, it's like, dang, did somebody do that to you? Exactly. But looking at it again, somebody probably did do that to you. So that's why you got all that anger and that bitterness, and then you could bleed on people who didn't cut you if you don't get that together. Because in our community, man, it's a lot of trauma and a lot of unresolved issues, which is why you see stuff boiling over to people's kids, which people don't. I've been saying this the last few ones, like you gotta learn how to regulate your emotions. If you don't allow yourself to be in control of your emotions, like you said, the guy said, oh, he won. You you beat him up, but you done missed 7 days of school, and now you done flunked off of one choice. It's a domino effect.
Now you the oldest in the class. They talking about you. Now you don't even want to go to school, so you drop out.
Yeah.
Now I'll go back to you missing 7 days of school.
Yeah. And that go back to now you 23. Yeah. And that's all because you missed 7 days of school. Like that's crazy to think about. Like this one choice can dictate, if I'm not careful, a good portion of my life. A dude told me, he like, man, I lost 13 years of my life because I just couldn't keep my mouth shut. And I had to go sit down and do them 13 years. But he said, I won't go back because I didn't like how that felt. I didn't like how, being away from my normal life felt. And so when you let people win with like the things that they say or the environments that you in, like it's, you don't want to give people power over you. Like you letting somebody, and it's crazy because a lot of people wouldn't know this, but I had a bad temper problem as a kid. Like I wasn't the type of person like, man, I'm gonna pull up on you, or like that ain't never been me. But it's like, if you said some like dumb stuff or like I wasn't rocking with what you were saying, I'd get upset instantly. And then my mama, now mind you, think about this. This was the people that know my mom, like how she used to be or how she was when she was living. Like my mama telling me this though, not my pops. And my pops, between the two, is the cooler head. Like it take a lot for him to get upset. My mama cussing, don't got patience with homework, none of that. But she telling me like, if you don't get your anger together, like people not gonna want to be around you. And I almost laughed at her because I'm like, Ma, when we doing homework, you don't got no patience. You cussing, you doing that. But like my mama was one of the sweetest people in the world. She'd give you the shirt off her back if you could fit it. But like she was like, yo, if you don't get your act together, like people not gonna. But when she told me that, it like show me like, man, you don't want to always be somewhere mad or somewhere upset like early in the morning, or you trying to go off on like. So basically, she's telling me without telling me, like, you need to learn how to regulate your emotions. They got me counseling. They sat with me and worked with me on certain stuff, and I still have my moments. But my temper is nowhere near like how I used to be. But a lot of people don't believe that because, like, bro, I'm silly. I'm always, even when I had a temper problem, I was always goofy, wanting to make people laugh. But it was like, I did the work and I had the village. So you think about showing the kids, but think about how many people don't got the right example.
Exactly. That's the biggest thing right there. Somebody never probably had that conversation with the kid. Certain kids that get mad, they get a whooping. You know what I mean? That making them madder. So that's the biggest thing right there. Just you never know. You never know. And it got to a point where I asked certain people like, how did you get to this point in life? How did you get to that? I want to know honestly. You know what I mean? For one. So when you tell me I'm not going to do what you said you did to get to that point where it was a bad solution. But it was a good solution that came out of your choices. Okay, maybe I should do that. And then what you were saying about, the quick reaction or whatever. I got a cousin named Rob. I think he did like 17 years in prison. He's from down south or whatever. He came down here, I think it was like 2 years ago. We was talking. He's telling me, he was like, man, I went to court. It's like, man, my paperwork was like 3 packets long. But he was like, the crime only took a minute at that. He said a minute gave me 17 years. You know what I mean? And I just think on that, I got friends that's doing, time. I got friends that's doing time up with God too. So, and out of all their, situations, things like that, it wasn't no 5-day hostage situation or anything like that. Everything they did, it happened less than 5 minutes, and it cost them their life or years. I'm talking about years, man. I got a youngin, whatever. He gonna do like 12 years. He got like 2033. But like his choices that he made to do it right in that situation, it couldn't, been more than 2 minutes at the most. You know what I mean? And it's just like, could you really live with yourself sitting down like, man, if I would have not came out 2 minutes early, I would never seen this person. Or if I would have, stopped at that stop sign instead of kept going, I would have been alive. You know what I mean? That 1 second that, I'm getting stopped at the same red light as everybody else, but me running this stop sign right here about to cost me the rest of my life. You know what I mean? So it's just choices, man. We all got them. Whether you like it or not. A lot of people just be like, it was a reaction. Yeah. And my biggest thing, I'm like, bro, you don't understand the process of a reaction. Right. It's a thought process, and then your thoughts got to tell your body, where there's what they call it, the angel or the devil. Right. You got to go with those different choices, or if you just a serial killer or something like that. But most of us, we choose to do the bad thing or whatever, and then we got to process that through our body to say, raise this right hand and punch him, or raise this gun and pull this trigger. You know what I mean? Yeah. People, it's just react. I'm like, bro, it's way different than a reaction, because you don't understand the process that went through before you physically did what you did.
Yeah. And I tell the kids a few weeks ago, like, y'all will make a choice and you want to pick the consequence. It don't go like that. You can't play multiple choice with consequences. Like, oh, I'll take option A. Like, no, it don't work like that. You don't get to decide what your consequence is. Because I asked them, I said, have y'all made a choice and the consequence was something that you didn't expect? A kid like, man, I got kicked out of my house. And you wasn't expecting that, but you kept doing what you was doing. Or, oh, man, I almost got into a serious fight. Like, no, you can't choose your choice that you make. We all are given a choice. And depending on what our choice is, it could go good or it could go bad. The power of a choice, it's a lot of weight in that. Like, you got to measure that. Like,
for real.
Is this more me going to jail at an early age and getting out at 36 and I go in at 13? Like you done missed. Like how do you like? I was talking to my cousins about somebody in our family that went to jail again. Like I'm like, bro, I'm at a Pistons game and my brother like, yo, our cousin just eat, and my brother all the way in another country texted me this like, bro, he just went like, bro, you just got out. Yeah. But it's like you went in so young. Yeah. That's all you know. So I can't even be mad at you because that's what you used to. That's your environment. That's like one time I got mad at somebody like real irritated. Like you really just don't know when somebody trying to help you, or like you so used to toxicity. The positivity look like toxicity, and the toxicity look like positivity because you think this normal. Like you think somebody disrespecting you, somebody calling you out your name, somebody beating on you, like you think that's like you think this is what it is. Like you think this is life.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's like people like, oh man, no, that ain't like no, but it's people out here, they ain't gonna say it out of their mouth, but you can tell with their actions. Like, oh, you think somebody trying to help you is bad. Like, okay, well, I'm sorry you feel that way, but it's like people will see like at some point either you gonna allow life gonna show you, or you gonna get yourself together. So it's like for me, I look at stuff like that and it's like, man, how you gonna adapt when you get out of because it's never too late to get your life on track. But it's like, man, you go in at 13, then you get out and you like 30. Like you done spent you like you don't know, you green, you don't so now you thinking you scared this is how this is how it was when we was back like no, it's 2026, bro. It's not like what it was back then in the night. Like no, you gotta adapt to now.
For sure.
And that's another thing people don't know, how they don't wanna adapt. That don't mean you change up who you are, but you like understand like I can't always do things like how I've once done them. It got to be a different way. Because I told somebody, I said, well, you claim that you know what's best, but what you've been doing ain't working.
Exactly.
So you clearly can't know best, and if what you doing is the best, I don't want to be a part of it because it clearly ain't working out for you or nobody that's around you.
Insanity.
So if you doing the same thing, is that you doing the same thing over and over again? Oh, it's gonna be different this time. That's literally the definition of insanity.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
Either you gotta be insane or you just not lit. Like something gotta give. So it's like I think everything boils down to like us being an example, us showing that we flawed, but also giving that firm hand. Like I'm not saying that, hey, don't whoop your kids or don't had that talk to him. But it's like, man, there's so many ways that you can help kids. Like the way that my parents disciplined my brother was different than me because they realized even though we was under the same roof, I can get to Chris this way.
Right.
I can get to Leon this way. So it's like understanding that. But when you got a person that's set in their ways, it's like, oh yeah, you going to keep having problems. Like your child going to end up resenting you or, not even have no relationship with a child. And like I told somebody the other day, I'm like, if this the path you want to take, just be okay with the results that come from it.
Be okay with unknown the unknown.
Yeah, like, and I guess my biggest thing is also like just being that example, but also being real with them, showing them like it's always a better way. But a lot of the parents, they need grace too because they didn't always have a village. You hear people like, oh, my parents never supported me as a child. Now, you may support your kids, but parenting don't come with no rule book, so you learn it as you go. Like,
no, I'm gonna tell you, I might send you the video if I find it, but I sent the video to my mom, and the dude was just saying on the video, like, I never got the same consequences as everybody else.
Yeah.
He was saying, within his siblings and things like that, he was like, me and my sister would do the same thing. And I would get it, you know what I mean? She'd get it cussed out, but I'd get a whooping or
right.
Just, going into that part. And that was my life growing up. I was my mom's only boy until she had my little brother or whatever. And she had me and I'm a twin too. My twin passed, but she had, by 25, she had 3 kids or whatever. So she didn't know. She didn't come with a rule book or whatever. And I sent it to her and I'm like, thank you. And she broke down and I'm so sorry, whatever you used to do stuff and you just wouldn't fall. Like you didn't cry, you didn't, whatever. She was just like, and I was like, no, I want to thank you. What you thank me for? I was just like, because this right here let me know I can't expect the same consequences as everybody else. You know, like you
Right.
said, I don't get to choose the consequence, whether it might be me coming late one day. Yeah,
Right.
he came late and he got a point, but I come late one day and I get fired.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
and she was just like, "What?" And she cried, or it's like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Thank you, because this let me know, you know, it made me a better man."
Yeah.
At that time, she probably didn't think that she was bringing a better man, but she never, you know, raised a man before or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of thought about it, and I'm like, at first I was like, "Damn, so my mom used to do me or whatever." But then I thought about it, I said, "Dang, thank you, mom," because whether she, you know, if she put me on the same pedestal as everybody else, you know, it's some things I would never fought for, or tried and do or whatever. And then, like you said, and you more spiritual than me or whatever, but I grew up in it and you know, in the church and everything. But I always go back to I seen a video with Charleston White. But no, this is a video where I agree with him. He was just like, we got these YNs running around, ski masks, push killing people, not scared or nothing like that. He said, because Big Mama don't take them to church no more, you know? And my biggest thing was, you know, whether, you know, you believe in the Quran or anything like that or whatever, whatever religion you believe in, at the end of the day, it's like, you know, do unto others as you want them to do unto you.
Yep.
And I grew up on that to where it was just like, yeah, I did a lot of things that was wrong, but I'm not about to. I seen the video dude was. He said he was op. He seen his mama beat. I don't want you to beat my mama up, so I'm not about to beat your mama up. You know what I mean? I believe in eye for eye in certain situations, but it's like, you know, me going to church. It was certain things, certain beliefs that was installed in me. It was like, you know, right is right, wrong is wrong. Yeah, we, you know, we born with certain wrong, you know, common sense. You know, everybody knows it's wrong to kill your mama. You know what I mean? But it's certain things that got to be installed into you to where it's just like, you know, you don't do this, you don't do that or whatever. And that's what I got that from church, to where it was just like, you know, a woman is put at a higher pedestal within where it becomes in violence, you know, where it's like, you know, I'm not going to do this because your wife here right now, or your daughter here right now, and things like that, or kids, you know, you don't mess with kids, you know. And I learned, I never learned that from my parents. I learned that through the church, you know what I mean? To where it's just like, man, these kids right here, or things like that. So, and I always feared to go to the other place. You know what I mean?
No, 100%.
That's what I always feared, to where it's just like, you know, I made certain sins and things like that, and I repent for them and things, you know, but certain decisions that I could have made with a thought, you know, a quick thought process or whatever, I chose not to because I feared that place. You know what I mean? To where it's like, yeah, I can go do this or whatever. I got the resources to do what I want to do, but it's like, hey, I know one day I gotta leave this place, and I want to reunite with my twin, with my granny, and things like that. And I know they didn't do that, so I gotta see them eventually. So hey, bro, you can have this one.
Yeah.
So we get this youth back into, like, you know, like I said, I don't care if you Muslim or whatever, but at the end of the day, to me, it's all the same beliefs. Do unto others as you want to do unto you, and live right.
Yeah, man.
You know?
And even as parents, like the Bible says in Proverbs 22:6, like, you train up a child in the way that he or she should go, you know, because when they get old, they won't depart from it. And we've departed from a lot of our upbringings that our parent, but it's like when you have that in your heart, that conviction, or that sign, that's something that tells you, like, man, I shouldn't go here. Or like you said, like the stuff that your mom did for you as a kid, you probably thought she was just getting on your nerves as a child. But then when you see, like, oh man, I did what my mama asked me to do as a grown man, and I saw how many situations I was out of because I didn't do that. Or like, hey, no, I'm not going. Like, I used to tell my friends, like, hey man, if we go somewhere and y'all start something with somebody, I'm leaving y'all. Like, if y'all got to kick me out the group chat, I can't come to the hoop runs no more. Because I love my life and I love myself too much to lose my life or put somebody in jeopardy that I claim I love over some dumb stuff or something that could be done a different way. Exactly. So I said, listen, if y'all can't regulate yourselves, I'm not going with y'all. And I'm not even the person that be going out like that, or like outside of what outside is defined as. But like, if we do go to the mall, or we go somewhere, or we go to the bowling alley, we go to the movie, like wherever we gonna go, downtown, Riverwalk.
Don't do that with me, bro.
Like, man, I'm not. If you can't, like, I always been a person like, man, I ain't gonna force nobody to do nothing they don't want to do. If you can't, I'm gonna stay home, bro, or I'm gonna go somewhere else. So it's like, man, we just need to be those examples for people. Give grace and show people the right way. Show them that there's more than one way. It takes work, but as you know, the saying goes, it takes a village to raise a child.
Exactly.
And I had both my parents, you know, in my life, but I also had church members. I had mentors. I had people that could tell me, like, even when my parents wasn't around, and my parents were like, "Nah, bro, you was wrong. Like that ain't." But I had a relationship with them, and that's another thing that we got to do: build relationships.
Yeah, it's like the elders scared of the youth, man. You know.
Yeah, I don't blame them. Just keep managing the bourgeois.
Yeah, but like you was saying too, man, it was just like I can give my, my story off me going against what my grandma had told me. Cause my grandma, her thing was she always sat in the bed, and at a certain time, you know how Granny and them used to do it. A certain time, wake up, certain time, go to sleep.
Yeah.
And she, her thing was, she get a call, oh, we at such and such house or whatever, come on over. I'm not getting out of my bed for nobody. And that's the biggest thing she put in my head. I'm not getting out of my bed for nobody. And going back, making it a quick story. So high school, homeboy called me, Joe. I said his name. Joe called me. Got some females or whatever. And they they're 2 blocks from my house or whatever, right? I'm in my bed, though. Call him. I'm like, here you go. I got the angel. I got the devil talking to me. And I said, all right, grandma don't know what she talking about. I got robbed at gunpoint that night, walking over there trying to talk to the girls. 2 blocks from my house. You know what I mean? And my grandma was telling me, I'm talking about like, I'm looking down the barrel to where it was just like, they robbed me, whatever. They told me to lay down. I'm not laying down, bro. Because in my mind, I'm like, you gonna beat me or you might do something that I don't like to.
Yeah.
So I get to running, man, and they start shooting at me. And I'm knocking on the door, to where the females was or whatever with Joe. And they like, oh, they laying on the ground. They like, we hear gunshots. I said they was shooting at me or whatever. So that just goes back to where it was just like, hey, that's what I get for not, listening to somebody. Because I don't know what my granny went through for her to come with that belief.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you just gotta believe somebody. They might not want to get in detail because it might bring back trauma. Like you said, in the black community we live with so much, PTSD or whatever. They might not want to tell you that story, but sometimes you just gotta be like, I don't know what you've been through, but the way you saying it and the passion you got behind you telling me this, you done been through something or you done lived the consequence of you doing what you telling me not to do or whatever. Yeah. So now, I live by that. It's just like, hey, don't do that. Don't do that. Okay. Some people, I do ask why. Why? Whether if it's, if it's something, that do with my health or something. Okay, why would you take that or whatever?
Right.
But certain things you can feel the passion behind somebody like, hey, bro, don't go over there. You know what I mean? I'm not going over there. He meant that. You know what I mean? Something happened to him in the past for him to say that.
Exactly.
Like,
and I think we talked about the ways that work for us as kids. Like, it's certain things that my parents taught me that when I have kids of my own, that I will teach them that my parents taught me. There's other things that like, I probably wouldn't teach my kids that, or like, I probably won't do that because you understand what works and what doesn't. And I'm not a person that's like, we got to go back to we do have to go back to being a community again, but we also have to go back to looking out for every last person in our, in our bubble. But when you build a relationship with a kid or people on your block or at your church or at a mentoring program, and you find out who they are or what they wrestling with, you may not be the person that can help them directly, but you can get them help. You may not always have the answer, man, because I think the biggest thing as an adult that you can let a kid know is like, hey, man, I don't know, but we going to figure it out. And you don't got to do it grandma's way because grandma's way may not work for, your mentee. Yeah. But there is a way that can work that can be beneficial to each and every one of these kids' lives, man. So as we, wrap up, something I always like to ask my guests is the theme for this season's podcast is intentional clarity, right? It's not enough to have clarity, but you got to be intentional about it. Like once you receive clarity, what do you do with it? Whether it's this year, last year, recently, 2 days ago, what has been a moment of intentional clarity for you? A moment where you got something that was clear to you and you acted on it.
That's deep right there. Understanding the crowd I'm around and why they're around me. I can use that just because this year it was, you know, intentional clarity. But in the past, I was delusional. But I don't know what, like this year, man, I'll say this is the year for me. But this year, you know, it been coming off easy to where it's just like, you around me because I bring this to it, or I attract, you know, certain, you know, things that you can't attract when you're not around me.
Yeah.
So that became clear to where I'm just like, you know, I'm ISO Joe now. I'm like, hey, bro, I'm good. I can go by myself. And then, you know, I'm being more comfortable, you know, being by myself because I'm starting to realize, you know, the reason why certain people want to be around me and things like that. And it's just like, I'm telling you, like, one day I was just sitting down like this, man, in a sauna, you know, and it just clicked like, he only around you for this, she only wants you for this. And it was like, it was a list of what everybody in my circle to where it was just like, I went like 3-4 days not talking to nobody. I deleted social media from January to like the end of February, and everybody, you know, I didn't get no calls from nobody.
Yeah.
And everybody, oh, where you been at? You know, you ain't see. And I'm just like, man,
Yeah.
you just don't know. You just don't know. You know what I mean?
Man.
So that was the biggest thing this year, and I think this will be the turning point. You know, that was the turning point I needed. You know, because I was that type of person that I wanted to be. I want to say accepted, but how can I say this? I didn't care about being accepted all the time, but I always wanted to be around for, you know, whether because I'm a supporter. That's what I do. I support people. I always wanted to be there for support. It was just like, you know, it got to a point, you only invite me because you need to ride this place. You only invite me because, you know, if I come to this birthday party or baby shower, whatever it is, you know, I'm coming with a gift that's thoughtful. You know what I mean? And I got to that point where it was just like, you know, I'm accepting why you want me around you and what you believe you using my generosity for. You think you using me, but it's really generosity. So I had to cut that off right there. So that was the biggest, you know, clarity I got this year within myself.
Yeah, man, I love that. And I think it's important. It goes back to what you titled your chapter of your life right now, letting go. And I think it's important, you know, to let go of the things that weigh us down so that we can be the best people that we can be. And then talking about the youth and helping the youth, you know, just showing them that it's a better way, being an example, not perfect, but authentic, and showing them that, hey, I may not have all the answers, but we're going to get through this one way or another, and continue to pour into the kids, give them as well as their parents and people in general grace.
All right.
Appreciate you for pulling up, man.
Appreciate you for having me, man.
Thank y'all for tuning in to the converSAYtion podcast. We'll see y'all same time, same place.